I worked for a company that was bought out by a large multinational corporation. After a couple of years, a new online expenses system was put in place. This also was used to book travel, hotels etc., and we were told that under no circumstances could it be circumvented. The travel section was strange. The way it worked was you chose the city you were traveling to, and it gave you the pre-approved hotel you had to choose. All very straightforward, until you consider how these hotels got on there. It wasn't through hundreds of corporate negotiations, it was when the first traveler using the system had to stay in that city found a hotel that met their needs, that became the default hotel. I live in a small country and the local company was based about 150 kilometers from the capital. The only people who'd used the system to stay in my country were the senior VPs who'd worked on the takeover, and when they returned to the capital to fly home usually spent a few vacation days there. I was asked to go on a training course run by a company in the capital, and being a lowly prole would have expected a Travelodge or similar. But the only choice available to me was the 5-star Intercontinental Hotel, where breakfast starts at €50 and the rooms are eye-watering. I checked with the scheme admin, and she laughed as she read me the rules. Under no circumstances could the system be circumvented. The course was over 2 weeks, and at month-end my expenses were submitted. Nearly $6,000 in hotel bills, plus food and mileage. My boss, in a different country, was almost in tears when he called me about this because he knew this compliance to the rules meant he'd have to explain this to his boss. Oddly enough, some other hotels were added soon after. Edit, I should say, the hotel charged directly to the company via the expenses app once the expenses submitted each month, so I wasn't on the hook for the initial expense. I was responsible for ensuring receipts etc. were uploaded to match. That's what I tell every customer who tries to leave with the store before payment. Today I had a lady get totally upset at that rule, a rule that I did not make, it's the manager's rule. She said, "Do I look like a thief? What does a thief look like?" And she was very upset. I told her it's just a rule, to which she didn't really have a response other than to complain to herself about how that's stupid. Then after she paid she asked for my manager. I gave her my supervisor. She told my supervisor, "Do you treat every customer like that?" But my supervisor explained that we had customers who thought the same thing but failed to make the payment anyway. But she had no real argument to get her way, so she said, "You lose a customer today," and left. Some people are so sensitive. It's not my fault you didn't know you have to pay before you leave. Like, who does that anyway? Why do they think it's okay? That's my short rant, lol. I serve at a restaurant in Virginia and we are in phase 2 of reopening. So 50% capacity, outdoor seating, new rules to follow. I had a table come in today and I asked if they had been back to eat with us since we reopened. They said no, but we are regulars. So I have a set of things that I am supposed to tell them since they have not been back yet. These are things I am told to say by my company and I add a little to it to sound less robotic. It's just how we are handling the reopen and how we are asking guests to handle it as well. Goes as follows for me. Alright, so as you may know, we are in phase 2 of reopen. What I have to tell you is a mix of company policy and guidelines from the CDC. So as you can tell, I'm wearing masks and gloves and I will be standing back from the table a bit farther than usual. We are not accepting cash right now, that is company policy, but you can tip in cash if you like. We ask that you look over the entire menu and have your whole meal ready at once to give to me, that is drinks to entrees to desserts. This is to limit contact with the table so we don't have to share the same air more than we need to, and is for my safety and yours. This is also not meant to rush you, so take your time looking over the menu. And last, I ask that you hold on to your menu. They will be thrown away at the end of your meal. You can take them home or make paper hats out of them if you want. With that out of the way, here are the specials. I say almost exactly all of that in that order at every table. This table says okay and we proceed to go through their meal without a problem. They eventually finish and another server checks them out. That's when it gets weird. On their way out they swing by the host stand and the lady I served goes out of her way to tell THW hostess that I was taking the virus way too seriously and that it was making me act weird and she didn't like it. My hostess is amazing and doesn't play into dumb shit and just goes uh-huh. She immediately tells me after I leave. Since I was just doing my job and I had no way of telling that lady that, I proceeded to spend the rest of my night prefacing what I had to say with, "Just so you all know, none of what I tell you next was my decision. I have to tell you this. I had a lady come in earlier and tell my host that I was taking the virus too seriously, but better safe than sorry, right? Anyway, flip her. The virus needs to be taken seriously. We are still in a pandemic. And she needs to remember she is a guest and I am a server and am just doing my job while exposing myself over and over again to potential COVID spreaders. So I'm going to continue to take this seriously because I don't want to be the reason someone's grandparent dies because I was too serious. Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow have been missing since September of last year. Human remains of children were found on Chad Daybell's property on June 9. Authorities have confirmed that the remains are indeed those of Tylee and JJ. The cause of death hasn't been released yet. This is a case of many twists and turns. This summary is from Wikipedia. As of September 23, 2019, a doorbell video of JJ Vallow playing with a friend is the last video of him taken. Rexburg's Kennedy Elementary School is the last confirmed place he was seen. On September 24, 2019, Lori Vallow contacted JJ's school to tell them that she was withdrawing him, alleging she would be homeschooling him. Tylee Ryan was last seen September 8, 2019 at Yellowstone National Park with her brother JJ, her mother Lori Vallow, and her uncle Alex Cox, Lori's brother. Chad Daybell had become incommunicado, last speaking with filmmaker Devin K. Hansen via text messaging. In October, 2 Venmo payments were made from Tylee's account to her older half-brother, Colby Ryan. One payment was sent on October 10, 2019 with a message that read "We love you," and the second payment was sent on October 16, 2019, with a heart emoji. Colby said he had not heard from Tylee since the October texts. After text messaging Tylee indicating he was worried, he received responses from Tylee's cell phone that indicated she was safe, but too busy to talk. After repeated unanswered calls to Tylee, he became more worried. Wikipedia summary of the case. This is my first time posting in here, so I'll try to do this the same just as you all do. Backstory. Customer called in Monday about her watch not pairing to her phone correctly. That call was cut short because she had to go and couldn't stay on the phone any longer. Agent notes, along with customer confirmation, show the technician had scheduled a better time to call her back to finish. She missed the call and decided to call back Friday night around 6 p.m., literally one of the worst times to call, but I digress. Conversation goes as follows. Customer, see, finally. I've been holding an hour already. My watch isn't working. Me, I apologize for the wait, but I will try to get this done as quickly as I can for you. See, I have things I need to do, so can you just do this already? Proceed to look at the notes and see the missed callback, and the fact that she's already gone through Tier 1 support. Me, I see our agent missed you when he tried calling. It looks like you've already gone through as much troubleshooting as I can actually do, so I can get you directly to a technician to pick up where they left off. See, this is stupid, you make me wait then make me wait again. Me, that's why we tried to call you back so you wouldn't have to wait on hold again. The good news is, we don't have to start all over. The technician can pick up where the old one left off. See, I was busy, mind you, the customer tells us the time to call them, but whatever. This better not take long. I have my dad's birthday party I need to go to, I don't have time for this. Me, I know hold times can be high this time of night. If it's better for you, I can call you back Monday when you aren't busy and get you connected to someone then. See, that's stupid. You want me to go all weekend without my watch, hasn't been working for at least 5 days already? Just get me someone and it better not take long. Literally on after 10 seconds on hold, she hangs up. We are required to call back, so I do. She picks up and hangs up right away. I get hold times suck, but we are offering to call you back and you act like it's a bother. And now your darn watch still isn't paired. Edit, spelling. Happened to a colleague. Our users use an iPod installed into a case with a trigger handle for a mobile picking app. Posted this in a comments of a similar thread, but I'd like its own post. EU equals end user, SU equals support. When we receive a call we always try to mitigate sending a tech to site by troubleshooting with the EU. But let's fast forward 10 minutes into the support call. EU, all I see is the Apple logo, I keep hitting the power button to force reset but only the Apple logo is showing. SU, no problem, and we are sure it's fully charged? EU, yes I can see the light when I left it charging in the docking cradle. SU, okay I'd like to send a tech to wipe and reinstall the OS. But before we do that I just want to make sure when you press the power button on the case you can hear it click. EU, listen I'm not stupid, I go to university. SU, no ma'am it's not like that, I just need to be sure. EU, yes I can hear the click but I only see the Apple logo. SU, gets an epiphany by any chance at the bottom of the screen do you see something? EU, it says assembled in California. Oh. Let me see something removes iPod from case. Okay, I know the issue. Sue, was the iPod backwards? EU, it was backwards. Continues the call to ensure app is working. Why the end user didn't realize earlier, she felt the need to justify. The volume button lined up with the case's power button and the fast charge dock works no matter which way the phone is facing. Fin. TL Doctor, troubleshooting iPod issue with end user. She was looking at the back of the iPod the whole call. When I was in high school, we had school uniforms, common in my country. One day we got a message saying that we had to hurry to school to collect a hall ticket for our examination. This was very sudden and I didn't have any uniforms washed, so I put on some decent casual clothes and went to school. Many others had the same idea. When we went to meet the teacher, she got angry at us for not being in uniform, and accused the bunch of us of spending the night together doing God knows what because we all happened to be in casual clothes. It was a very bizarre accusation and frustrating because we simply did not have uniforms ready. But she refused to give us the hall ticket till we were in uniform. Going back home would have been too tedious, so we went to a friend who was in uniform. I'm a trans girl, but my school was very conservative, so I'd been wearing male uniforms for the most part. My male friends all took turns in another male friend's uniform, and I asked a female friend of mine if I could borrow her uniform. So, there I was, in the teacher's eyes, in drag, ready to get my hall ticket, while my male friends would take turns in that single, often obscenely ill-fitting uniform. She got super angry at all of us, but another teacher convinced her to just give the hall tickets, although I was also made to change into that male uniform ultimately. That teacher refuses to talk to us even now, years after graduating. Edit, lots of people asking which country, India. And I wasn't openly trans, aside for a few friends. Damian Sharp was a generally well-loved and well-behaved young man in the small town of Warren, Pennsylvania. He was a U.S. Army veteran. He spoke to his mother almost daily on the phone, and was beloved by many friends. This is why it came as such a shock when he vanished into what seemed to be thin air. Damian was fit. He was 5 feet 7 inches and 170 pounds of pure muscle, as one might expect from a young veteran. He had strawberry blonde hair and hazel eyes. On his chest was a tattoo of a large Egyptian snake. He was last seen on aluminum crutches, due to a knee injury, with a black backpack, and dark shirt and shorts. From here, all of the details are incredibly muddy. Some sources say that he was reported missing on June 3, while others claim June 6. Several sources claim he disappeared after being dropped off at a party. From my understanding, being from the general area, he was hosting a small Memorial Day party at his home with friends to celebrate his recent return from the Army. During the party, he told a friend that he would return shortly, and left his apartment. Some sources allege he was picked up by a vehicle from there, but it isn't concrete. The last time Damian was definitely seen, was walking out those doors on his crutches. If Damian is still alive today, he would be 40 years old. Here is a video from 2012 made to spread awareness of his disappearance. The video includes his mother, who is still fighting to find him to this day. The Vanished Podcast, Episode 24, Damian Sharp. And hashtag X200B. If anyone is interested in this case, I have more information on who I believe to be the most likely possible suspect, as well as potential sites that his body could have been dumped. Being relatively local to the area, I have heard several interesting rumors that quite honestly sound as if they may have some validity to them. I was in 5th grade, and the physical education instructor at my elementary school, like most, was mean, strict, and generally took his job way too seriously. I'd never had any real issues with him myself, but there were various occasions where I witnessed him harassing other kids in my class. On this particular day he decided that I was being too rowdy for a 5th grader in PE, so he ordered me to sit down in the designated timeout chair with some other kids he deemed naughty. After around 15 minutes, the other kids I'd been sitting with were told to get up and continue doing PE things. When I moved to follow them, the instructor told me to stay in the timeout seat until he told me to move. Having already been annoyed at missing what was essentially a second recess, I decided that the next logical step was to stay in the chair until the end of class. When he gathered up my classmates, he never told me to get up and join them. So I continued sitting in the hot South Florida sun as I watched him lead my class away. I stayed there for the next half hour still thinking he'd at least send someone to get me once he realized I hadn't followed the class, but no one came. There was a water fountain at my side, and other than the mild discomfort presented by the heat and humidity, I was having a decently nice time sitting around outside while my class was off watching some assembly. I was out there for the entire duration of the assembly and, after finding that my class hadn't yet returned to the classroom, I walked into the cafeteria as lunch was coming to an end. My teacher, who had been with my class watching the assembly and stayed with them for lunch, rushed over to me as I walked through the back door of the cafeteria covered in sweat, asking me where I had been this whole time. I explained that I had been sat down during P and told not to move until instructed to do so before the P teacher had taken the class and left me behind. She felt sorry for me and let me eat my lunch in class. Edit: I left out what happened to the P teacher because nothing ended up happening to him at all. Although I've heard he's been the subject of numerous complaints, he continued to hold his position for many years after I'd left the school. I love serving, minus certain things, before all this, but all these new regulations have just gotten me so stressed. 50% capacity alone is really a struggle. It's almost impossible to make money. Wearing masks are so uncomfortable and feel kind of impersonal because of what we do as a living. I'm not trying to shoot on these regulations. I want people to be safe, but it's just so depressing to be back and things are the way they are. I saved as much as I could from unemployment because I'm legitimately nervous about falling under. My main serving job is an outdoor restaurant only and I'm stressed to the max about wearing a mask and gloves in 90-degree weather all day. Guys, I just feel sad and want out of this industry I used to love. Not to mention making half of the money I was making before. Extra work steps, all with a higher risk of getting sick, just doesn't feel worth it to me anymore. This is actually a wholesome story, and it's pretty short, but I've seen a few of those here so I feel like it fits. About a month ago I went to the laundromat. Because of COVID-19 I go all out there. I wear a K95 mask, gloves, and sanitize anything I'm thinking about touching, such as the machine buttons and folding tables. Because of this, some older lady came up asking me where the extra detergent is that they sell. I helped her find it and then realized there was no point in her buying it when I had a whole thing of detergent with me. So after I took her over I stopped and said, "Wait, why don't you save a couple bucks and just use mine?" That was when she realized I didn't actually work there, and she got a little sheepish and said, "I'm so sorry, I thought you worked here." I laughed it off with her and she gratefully accepted some detergent from me. We had a conversation and it turns out she and her husband were up in the city for a procedure her husband was having at the hospital I was doing my nursing school clinicals at. It was such a great experience of I don't work here, and I thought y'all might like a wholesome story in a world full of lots of darkness right now. I work as a porter, janitor, at my local grocery store. I have a list of items I need to accomplish 3 times a day and I can do the morning from 6 to 12, afternoon 12 to 5 and evening till closing. The lists don't take nearly that long, approximately 2 hours, and I have been vocal about wanting more work so I don't waste company hours. As it stands, during an 8-hour shift I don't work for around 4 to 5 of the hours. I spoke to my boss today and asked him what I should do until I start the evening cleaning. Her words exactly were just clean, and that's what I did. I sat in the break room on my phone and kept on cleaning the same table for 2 hours before my manager came up and saw me hard at work. He said, "Silver, what are you doing?" And I told him, "You told me to clean and that's exactly what I'm doing." I had to wait until 5 o'clock to start the evening list and he was not pleased with the result. However, as it stands now I will be able to ask other workers if there is anything I can do to help. Upside down face. The latest spate of posts about company travel reminded me of this little gem. I was working for an MSP that had customer sites close to my home. I would arrange to be on site at about 9:30. This meant that I would get a lion and leave my house at about 9 o'clock to get to the customer site. I would then claim on expenses the travel from the customer back to the office. This worked fine until we got a new manager who stated that we had to start work at the time in our contract and we could only claim mileage to and from the office. The contracts stated that our start time was 8:30 and I stated that it would be a waste of my time driving to the office, turning round and driving to a customer's site. He was having none of this. So, I would arrange with the customer that I would be on site at 9:30 and I then proceeded to clock in at 8:25, get to my desk, sit down and have a cup of coffee and read my emails. I then drove to the customer's site, did the work and drove back. After claiming for double the amount of travel expenses, questions were asked, but I pointed to the email that had been sent out. This lasted until the manager changed, who saw sense and changed the system back to how it was. Unfortunately, this story doesn't have much in the way of an outcome, however. A few years ago, I was working for a chain tobacco and gift store. We'd often get instructions from the area and state managers about different displays that we should create. For this story, my state manager, SM, sent an email at the start of the day, letting us all know that some of the big bosses of the business would be coming by some stores tomorrow, and that all were supposed to have a certain set of displays. Fair enough. However, the closing person was not to leave until SM had received photos of the displays and called back to give the okay. The store is due to close at 6:00, so 5:00 comes. I'm the closing worker. I send SM the pictures, both by text and by email, since I know that occasionally my phone didn't properly send MMSs. 5:30 comes by, no response. It's fine, she's got about 20 stores to call. 6:00, no problem. I close the doors and start sweeping and mopping the floors. 6:30, by now I would normally leave, but I haven't heard from SM yet. I check the store emails to see if she said anything there, but no, so I decide to call her myself, both from my phone and the store phone, but no answer. It's now 7:00, I'm just chilling in the store, lights off, with my music playing on the speakers. I send SM another text, but still get no reply. A tiny bit of context here, I don't drive, my home is about a 30-minute drive away, so by public transport it'll take me around 1.5 hours. I kinda like that travel time, it allows me to just sit back and relax after a shift. It ticks around to 8:30, 2.5 hours after the store closed, and I decide that I'm done waiting. I sign out for 8:30, send SM one last message so she knows exactly why I finished so late, and leave. I don't get any response, but my shift was bumped to a 9:00 finish without my input. She never mentioned it to me, but she never made that request again. I've been a server for 10+ years. I miss going out to eat and enjoying my friends' company as much as anyone else, but restaurants are not an essential service. We should not be forced to return to a place of work where people are literally invited to hang out without masks on. There's no way to properly social distance in a restaurant setting, or at least not in any of the ones I have worked at. I have zero problem with restaurants doing toga services or even serving people outside, but having people sit down in a closed-in space for 30 to 60 minutes at a time, if not more, without masks on, puts every person working in the restaurant at risk and everyone around them. It's way too soon to be permitting this type of service. We don't even have concrete answers as to how this virus is working. I'm basically being forced to return because I will lose my unemployment funds if I decline, but with 2 pre-existing conditions, it feels like I'm just sending myself straight into the lion's den. End rant. I taught for 7 years, and while I like to think I did my job well, I'm also human and I made mistakes. Me of my biggest, albeit secret, fears is that one day one of my former students will post about this one time my teacher. And I'll realize they're talking about me. Probably my time in the classroom was pretty banal and mundane, but I still worry that my F-ups, small though they may be, will be lived out for the world to judge and discuss, however anonymously. Has anyone found one of their teaching stories shared from a student's perspective in the wild? If so, how did you feel about it and, perhaps most importantly, what did you learn from the experience? I work at a small-town coffee shop that has managed to adapt and stay busy during COVID-19 by utilizing a window for walk-up service. A regular problematic customer, let's call him TJ, is a typical middle-aged man riddled with toxic masculinity. He often makes female employees and customers uncomfortable with his comments. Lately he's been around a lot, being typical TJ. Today he came to our window and ordered a coffee. Cool, nothing out of the ordinary. A co-worker asked him if he would like to tip via our Square register. We normally don't verbally ask customers, but with the current pandemic we are not allowing customers to touch our iPad system. He proceeded to tell her to put 100, and reassured them he wanted to tip that much because he appreciates our hard work and effort and wants to chip in since our business has been a bit slower. Okay, I gave him that and almost have a change of heart about DJ. We both outwardly thank him and he goes on his way. I text my boss about this uncharacteristic interaction with TJ and through their end of the register system she was able to look at the transaction. They noticed that not only was the credit card he used not in his name, but in his boss's name, on their company card. Typical TJ. What a D-bag. This happened 2 years ago, but someone needs to know this story. My father is psychologically and emotionally abusive. He degrades me, threatens the death of my animals, uses scare tactics, and mocks my mental health issues. He has been since he married my stepmother 6 years ago. 2 years ago I had a wasp infestation in my room. Naturally, being a 13-year-old child, I was scared. My dad sprayed them with Raid for a week or so until he got tired of it. First B locked me in that room with them, Then he held a live wasp up to my face and screamed at me about how I needed to man up and he should just make me sleep in there. I, now 15, cannot even go outside during the summer, my wasp fear is so bad. That night, after he begrudgingly eradicated the wasps, I called the suicide hotline. That was the biggest mistake of that day. I explained the situation, in tears, and I will never forget what the operator said to me. "Good. That's good parenting. Stop being a brat." She then hung up. For years, pretty much until my ex pointed out how his behavior wasn't normal, I thought that his abuse was good parenting. Because of that suicide hotline operator, I blamed myself. I have severe self-worth issues to the point where annoying my friends, even if on accident, makes me feel worthless. I'm back in therapy now, and doing a bit better. But that woman flipped me up for the rest of my life. DL doctor called suicide hotline at 13, operator convinced me that my father's abusive behavior was good and gave me lifelong self-worth issues. A good few years back, during college, I had an evening job doing data entry with a friend for a large local company. It wasn't particularly complicated, but we had stacks of handwritten notes by agents who were in a rush, often with quite aggressive clients, and weren't always the most intelligent people, so the notes were often quite difficult to decipher. We had to decipher them, shorten them into summaries with acronyms, Their 2 or 3 paragraph rant would often be shortened into one line, and enter this into a strange old terminal, like DOS/old school Unix application, and choose the next action. I was on minimum wage and would work 4 days a week from 5 p.m. until 9 p.m. There were dozens of full-time staff doing the same during the day, but they were behind. Our targets were 25 an hour, so, 100 a night. I was working with my friend and we had this grumpy girl as our manager. I think she had to do overtime to supervise us, and didn't like it. Once I apparently cracked a couple too many jokes to my friend and she complained to the guy who had hired me. If he had said to be a little more professional, fine, but he didn't. He said, "Stop talking because you need to focus on hitting targets." I said, "I am hitting targets, I don't care, focus on doing just what you're paid to do." Fine, I did. Because of how fast I could type at this point, and an uncanny ability to decipher written nonsense quickly, I'd been hitting a minimum of 50 an hour before this chat, sometimes even up to 75 if the stacks were repetitive. After that moment, I hit 100 a night without fail. Occasionally slightly over if a stack was nearly finished, e.g. maybe 105. I did this for a week, until the boss said I can do more and he raised my targets to 30/hour. Which was still a lot lower than I was doing before, but was the maximum any of his full-time staff were targeted, so he couldn't go higher. I hit that for another few days, and luckily he saw the funny side and offered me full-time work whenever I could do it, months over the summer and Christmas, to help with their backlogs, which I gratefully accepted and stopped playing work to rule. This happened a few months ago when I was working a seasonal job at a clothing store. This was my first job and I had only been working for a couple weeks, so I hadn't really encountered any outrageous customers yet. I was working at the register when a message came in over the radios about a guy who had walked into the dressing room wearing his own shirt and came out wearing one of our shirts. However, I didn't hear it because I didn't have a radio at the time. It was not until the guy and his buddy came up to my register to pay that the register supervisor rushed over and told me about it. He asked the guys if they were going to pay for the shirt and they just acted like they didn't know what he was talking about. That's when they started to get really defensive, so my supervisor called the manager over to double-check the cameras. In the meantime, the supervisor told me to ring up their things as slow as possible to buy the manager some time. They only had 3 shirts and you guys know it does not take very long to scan and fold 3 shirts, but I have never folded a shirt so meticulously in my life. I articulated to them every single sale, discount, and offer we had at the store. They were super huffy the entire time and eventually they caught on to what I was doing and that's when they went off on me. They kept saying, "This is so stupid. You're so stupid. Why are you doing this? This is my shirt. We're not stealing." They even told me to smell his armpit as proof that it was actually his shirt. I was so in shock that the only thing I could say was "I'm sorry," to which their response was "Don't be effing sorry and just finish ringing us up." They were so loud the whole store was turning to look at what was going on. Finally my supervisor heard and just told me to finish the transaction. They were able to leave the store with the shirt because my manager took forever trying to find the video footage. In my opinion, risking it all for a 20 shirt isn't worth it. DLDR, guys were stealing, got called out on it, got mad, took it out on me. I am a female with short hair, more like a pixie cut. So this little girl, about 12, asked gesturing to me, "Mom, can I have hair like that?" The mom stared at me for a solid 10 seconds before replying, "No, and that's not a girl. Girls aren't allowed to have hair above their shoulders." Little girl, but they're carrying a purse. Mom, well, that isn't allowed. He shouldn't be doing that. They were talking to me like I wasn't there. Luckily for me, I happened to be on my period at the time, sorry if that's TMI, but it's relevant to the story, and I had a box of tampons at the top of my purse. I purposely dropped my bag, leaving the tampons on display. Both the little girl and the mom's eyes widened, and the little girl turned to their mom with a look of disgust. Sure, it costed me a box of tampons, but it was worth it to see the look on their faces. I'm proud. First time posting, currently a EMS dispatcher for a private ambulance company for 3 years now. We take some calls, however, they're usually seizures, psych, and falls. This one? Probably should have been psych, but unfortunately she wasn't the patient. This call happened in my first year, while I was pretty fresh and didn't understand the power of controlling a call. And #X200B. Me, okay, tell me exactly what happened. CLR, yeah, my mom fell in the other room, you know we have her locked in there right now, but yeah she fell and I think she may have hit her head. Me, okay, are you with her now? CLR, well, you see, she has dementia, and we live in a new home, so she is locked in there. You see, we can't have her wandering because of the bears that are around here. Me, have you gone to check on her yet? CLR, no, I can't unlock her door because she will get out and the bears will get her. Me, can you please go check on the patient? CLR, yeah, I think she might have hit her head, it sounded like she hit the end table, that's what woke me up, but even our big dog, insert large dog brand, is afraid to go outside because there are bears here at this new house. Please send the ambulance but make sure they get in and out quick because the bears will get them. Rinse and repeat for literally every one of the 10 questions involved with a fall. I was essentially working with a third-party caller as she flat out refused to unlock her mother from the room until the EMTs got there, let alone even go look at her. And #X200B. I kid you not, I heard way more about these bears than I ever got out of her regarding her fallen mother. While I may have wanted to bash my head into the desk repeatedly asking her the questions, now I can have a good belly laugh over it. From what I do remember though, Mom was transported alright, and no EMTs were mauled by the darn bears. Hello. I'm new here and English isn't my first language so please go easy on me. I'm asking for your help in identifying 2 mysterious cases I heard of some time ago but don't remember in names or places. I think both happened in the US. First one happened in the late 80s or 90s. I think I heard about this case in one of criminally listed video but I can't find it. Mother and her young son disappeared. She broke up with her son's father and found a new boyfriend. One day she and her son disappeared. Her abandoned car was found near her apartment and there was a strange message on her answering machine. The caller, who was a woman, claimed to be her boyfriend's co-worker, was claiming that he was promoted and asking for her help in organizing a surprise party or buying a gift. Boy's father and mother's boyfriend now live together cherishing their memory and paying for their safe return. Number 2 is a case from the 60s or 70s. Mother and her 2 children, boy and a girl, I think, disappeared from the mall's parking lot, leaving their car behind. Woman resembling the mother was later seen at nearby gas station or a convenience store with 2 older males who seemed to command her. She had a black eye or a bruise underneath her eye. I think I read about this case on Wikipedia but, as usual, I can't find the page. Thanks for your help in advance. Link so I won't get deleted. On mobile so please forgive the formatting and grammar. So this actually happened today. I've been taking antibiotics and when I got home after dinner at my dad's, realized I needed to take one. My best friend has been living with me, and my mom and bro. This is important because she and I are the only people that drink water at home. Like my mom is one of those people who hates water and will not drink it unless there are 0 other options. So I walk into the kitchen with pill in hand to get a drink. I see an open water bottle on the counter and think hey this must be best friends, I'll just finish it off so it doesn't get wasted. I take a big swig, pop the pill and swallow and then chase it with another swig. Then, the back of my throat starts to burn a little and I start panicking because we had been deep cleaning the day before and my brain was thinking it was some kind of bleach water that was used to clean with. Which would be dumb to put in a water bottle but in panic mode that's all my brain could think. I'm thinking I'm about to die because I just drank bleach, even if it was just watered down bleach. Then it clicks. My mom had made a bottle of watered down hydrogen peroxide because apparently gargling that can help a sore throat. So phew, it's not bleach. But I'm still panicking because surely drinking watered down hydrogen peroxide is just as bad, right? I'm googling to determine if I need to rush to the ER or if I'm about to start seizing or something. It says low percentages of it should be fine but may cause vomit/diarrhea. At that moment, my stomach chose vomit and I had to race to the bathroom, where I was sick for a good few minutes. Feeling more assured that I wasn't fixing to die, I rang my mom and proceeded to scream at her for leaving an unmarked water bottle that contained something besides plain-ass water in the kitchen, even though I'm agreeing with her that I shouldn't have assumed otherwise at the same time. After talking to her, I went and wrote her name on the bottle. I definitely learned my lesson to not drink things I couldn't be positive were safe to drink and feel incredibly stupid for having done it in the first place. My stomach still feels a little upset, though I'd if that's from the FU or because I'm still scared, and my throat is a little rough, but so far I am alive. This is my first TIFU and I hoped you all enjoyed it, because I sure didn't. DL, doctor tried to use an open water bottle to take meds, realized it wasn't plain water but watered down hydrogen peroxide that's used to gargle for sore throats, profusely vomited and felt incredibly dumb for drinking from a drink that wasn't mine. I work at a large convenience store chain in the Midwest. There are 3 of these stores in the town I live in. And sometimes people call the wrong store when ordering things or if they have questions. This happened about a year ago and I am still in amazement at how this person actually called the wrong store. Our kitchen phone rings and the person working there answers and gets yelled at by a lady who says she is in the bathroom and that there is no toilet paper and that someone better bring her some. I'm male and waiting on customers so I can't do it. The kitchen person is preparing food for the lunch rush and can't go. So my manager, a woman, goes and gets a roll of toilet paper and goes and knocks on the door and opens it expecting there to be someone there. The bathroom is empty and has a full roll of toilet paper. So she calls the other 2 stores in town and tells them they might want to check their restrooms for a woman who needs toilet paper. How do you call the wrong store when you're in IT? Hello. I'm new here and English isn't my first language so please go easy on me. I'm asking for your help in identifying 2 mysterious cases I heard of some time ago but don't remember in names or places. I think both happened in the US. First one happened in the late 80s or 90s. I think I heard about this case in one of criminally listed video but I can't find it. Mother and her young son disappeared. She broke up with her son's father and found a new boyfriend. One day she and her son disappeared. Her abandoned car was found near her apartment and there was a strange message on her answering machine. The caller, who was a woman, claimed to be her boyfriend's co-worker, was claiming that he was promoted and asking for her help in organizing a surprise party or buying a gift. Boy's father and mother's boyfriend now live together cherishing their memory and paying for their safe return. Number 2 is a case from the 60s or 70s. Mother and her 2 children, boy and a girl, I think, disappeared from the mall's parking lot, leaving their car behind. Woman resembling the mother was later seen at nearby gas station or a convenience store with 2 older males who seemed to command her. She had a black eye or a bruise underneath her eye. I think I read about this case on Wikipedia but, as usual, I can't find the page. Thanks for your help in advance. Link so I won't get deleted. First time posting, currently a EMS dispatcher for a private ambulance company for 3 years now. We take some calls, however, they're usually seizures, psych, and falls. This one? Probably should have been psych, but unfortunately she wasn't the patient. This call happened in my first year, while I was pretty fresh and didn't understand the power of controlling a call. And #X200B. Me, okay, tell me exactly what happened. CLR, yeah, my mom fell in the other room, you know we have her locked in there right now, but yeah she fell and I think she may have hit her head. Me, okay, are you with her now? CLR, well, you see, she has dementia, and we live in a new home, so she is locked in there. You see, we can't have her wandering because of the bears that are around here. Me, have you gone to check on her yet? CLR, no, I can't unlock her door because she will get out and the bears will get her. Me, can you please go check on the patient? CLR, yeah, I think she might have hit her head, it sounded like she hit the end table, that's what woke me up, but even our big dog, insert large dog brand, is afraid to go outside because there are bears here at this new house. Please send the ambulance but make sure they get in and out quick because the bears will get them. Rinse and repeat for literally every one of the 10 questions involved with a fall. I was essentially working with a third-party caller as she flat out refused to unlock her mother from the room until the imps got there, let alone even go look at her. And #X200B. I kid you not, I heard way more about these bears than I ever got out of her regarding her fallen mother. While I may have wanted to bash my head into the desk repeatedly asking her the questions, now I can have a good belly laugh over it. From what I do remember though, Mom was transported alright, and no EMTs were mauled by the darn bears. On mobile, so please forgive the formatting and grammar. So this actually happened today. I've been taking antibiotics, and when I got home after dinner at my dad's, realized I needed to take one. My best friend has been living with me, and my mom and bro. This is important because she and I are the only people that drink water at home. Like, my mom is one of those people who hates water and will not drink it unless there are zero other options. So I walk into the kitchen with pill in hand to get a drink. I see an open water bottle on the counter and think, hey, this must be best friends, I'll just finish it off so it doesn't get wasted. I take a big swig, pop the pill and swallow, and then chase it with another swig. Then, the back of my throat starts to burn a little and I start panicking because we had been deep cleaning the day before and my brain was thinking it was some kind of bleach water that was used to clean with. Which would be dumb to put in a water bottle, but in panic mode that's all my brain could think. I'm thinking I'm about to die because I just drank bleach, even if it was just watered down bleach. Then it clicks. My mom had made a bottle of watered down hydrogen peroxide because apparently gargling that can help a sore throat. So phew, it's not bleach. But I'm still panicking because surely drinking watered down hydrogen peroxide is just as bad, right? I'm Googling to determine if I need to rush to the ER or if I'm about to start seizing or something. It says low percentages of it should be fine but may cause vomit/diarrhea. At that moment, my stomach chose vomit and I had to race to the bathroom, where I was sick for a good few minutes. Feeling more assured that I wasn't fixing to die, I rang my mom and proceeded to scream at her for leaving an unmarked water bottle that contained something besides plain-ass water in the kitchen, even though I'm agreeing with her that I shouldn't have assumed otherwise at the same time. After talking to her, I went and wrote her name on the bottle. I definitely learned my lesson to not drink things I couldn't be positive were safe to drink and feel incredibly stupid for having done it in the first place. My stomach still feels a little upset, though I'd if that's from the FU or because I'm still scared, and my throat is a little rough, but so far I am alive. This is my first TIFU and I hoped you all enjoyed it, because I sure didn't. DL, doctor tried to use an open water bottle to take meds, realized it wasn't plain water but watered down hydrogen peroxide that's used to gargle for sore throats, profusely vomited and felt incredibly dumb for drinking from a drink that wasn't mine. Today I'm in a hardware store looking for a shed. I ask a worker, with a bright red vest on / where they are. I see it won't fit in my car so I tell him I'll be back with a trailer. Just then a lady pulls up looking for, she doesn't know what it's called, but you sit on it while gardening. The guy in the vest is like, what, and I'm like, oh, those are on aisle 12. She didn't even ask me, but I'm so used to it by now. I'm so used to getting the questions when I am not dressed like an employee. And it's been happening for years. I work at a university and I wear dress casual most of the time. So what is it about me? Is it that I am so intently looking at all my options of what to buy? Is it that I have that look that screams manager? IDK. I don't care if I'm in a department store, a grocery store, a clothing store. I get it at least one visit out of 5. Maybe more. TL, Dr. / what's that anyway ? / I look like I work there and there is every store I go into. Today I flipped up by getting battery acid on my hands. I didn't know what battery acid looks like. Basically I knew the batteries in air pump were shot after it got left outside, so before using I removed them, let it sit open, and put in new batteries. Then I'm trying to get something inflated today, and I keep getting a clear oil on my fingers. It's absorbing and I'm not worried because it doesn't look like what I pictured, doesn't hurt, etc. 10 minutes later my finger burn. It gets worse. They start to look weird. I go inside and my bro carries the thing. It drips on him before we trash it. I lay down, feeling bad. My nails are soft, loose. It really burns but they seem clean. I run them under hot water and oil starts coming out of my fingers. And coming and coming. I Google it. Alkaline batteries can leak a oily substance that is potassium hydroxide and it reacts delayed, can get worse after 10 to 50 minutes. I have to call poison control. They say if my fingertips stay red and painful or blister I need to go to the hospital for chemical burns. I managed to run hot water over them, and baking soda, over and over until they were better, but it could have been worse. Right now they are just numb and puffy like I touched the stove, hence typing. Some got on my bro's shirt, didn't even notice. It burned through. 30 minutes later he had a patch of missing hair there and skin is pink and puffy. Guys, batteries can leak dangerous clear oil that seems fine for 10 to 20 minutes and then results in chemical burns. I had no idea. Now you do. But honestly, is it even a weekend if you don't have to call poison control? Lol. TL, Dr. Batteries leaked clear oil substance that didn't hurt at first but ended up being dangerous AF. Bartender at a local pizza joint. My buddy came in after a long day dealing with his 2 sick little girls. He tells me a story from today about the littlest. She's screaming for him from the bathroom. She states she's been waiting for 60 years for him. All she wanted was a cheese pizza from our place. Since they were sick he went with something more appropriate for upset stomachs. But you can guarantee I got him a gift certificate for a cheese pizza for her when she's better. Nice to have good customers to even out the bad ones, lol. I worked in housekeeping in a hotel for months up until this past week. I'm now 35 weeks pregnant. I was scheduled to work 5+ days a week, with 20+ rooms to myself. I came into work recently, because I was on the schedule, and I could barely walk. I couldn't bend my back and my ankles were hugely swollen. I had been in L&D the night before to stop contractions. We didn't have many rooms, but 5 housekeepers in-house. Everyone was almost begging my manager to send me home, as we had too many housekeepers for the amount of rooms. Now, I'm huge at this point in pregnancy. I can't bend too far forward in general. My manager and I, discussed a couple weeks ago that she didn't want me cleaning bathtubs, so I was to have another housekeeper come clean my bathtubs. No biggie, I was fine with that. Well, the day before I quit I had went to find another HK to help with a bathtub. Said manager stopped us in the hall and asked what we were doing socializing on the clock. We explained that she was going to clean a bathtub for me and would go right back to her rooms. She yelled at me and said that if I can't do my job, I need to quit so that she can hire someone who's willing to work. I explained that it wasn't that I wasn't willing to work, rather that's one small task that I myself struggle with accomplishing. She didn't care. She continued yelling at me. Now, I've always hated being yelled at, so I spent the rest of my shift crying while cleaning my rooms. I got home from work, still crying. My boyfriend became extremely upset as I told him what had happened. We decided that it's in the best interest of our child that I just be done, as it's a lot of emotional trouble as well as physical. So I gave my manager her wish, and I went in and handed in my scrubs and quit. She seemed sympathetic, said she understood, was sad to see me go, and for me to come talk to her after I was released from maternity leave. Fast forward to today, another HK at said hotel was talking to this manager, while recording the conversation to send to me. She asked if I would be back after baby. The manager told her that I was lazy and a crybaby so she would never consider hiring me back. I'm glad I quit. I feel like I dodged a bullet. I'm not sure that I'll ever be able to convince myself to work in housekeeping again. Tifu at the Secretary of State and misspelled my own name. This happened 11 days ago, but the finale happened yesterday. Let me set the stage. My daughter, who okayed for me to post this for her, is 18 and is amazing. She just graduated, and her senior year was far from typical. She was diagnosed with bipolar. We knew this diagnosis was likely, hospitalized twice, and in February decided ECT was her only hope at surviving. Despite all this, she finished her coursework, graduated with honors, and is the happy, sarcastic girl we once knew. Amazing, right? 11 days ago she had an appointment at the Secretary of State to get her state ID. After suffering from severe anxiety for most of her teenage years, she really wanted to do this by herself. Her appointment time was at 12:45 and typical of the SOS, she actually wasn't able to enter the building until 2 p.m., and then had another hour wait inside while I waited in the car. Finally she came out and was laughing. In her nervousness she told me she misspelled her name and was too nervous to ask to redo it. Then, in haste, she quick tried to fix it. So let's lay out the timeline here. 1. She writes Abgul, forgetting both I's in her own name. 2. She quickly edits it by adding one I making it now Abgil and decides to call that good. And that brings us to yesterday, when her ID shows up in the mail. She shows me her pic, looks slightly stoned, and we were laughing about that and then she reminded me about her signature. I asked to see it again and then say you put the last minute I in the wrong spot. She thought I was effing with her, but I wasn't. She nearly fell on the floor laughing. I'd like to introduce my daughter, Abjiel Coleman, class of 2020 high school graduate. State ID. DL Doctor Anxiety caused my daughter to misspell her first name. She tried to fix it quickly, ended up putting a letter in the wrong place and the final ID is grossly misspelled. So I work at a small office for a construction company. I have one coworker that is a grandma and due to some parental issues, she is now taking care of her two youngest granddaughters, ages 7 and 8. She doesn't really have money so she can't pay for a babysitter to watch the girls as she's working her 8 to 5 job. There is also the issue of COVID-19 right now, so having a stranger come into your house for long periods of time and be around kids is not really a good idea. Luckily, for her, the boss is okay with the girls being in the office as long as they don't bother anyone from working and be quiet. Over the time, I've slowly went from being grandma's co-worker to being a babysitter. This is how it starts. The girls did that at first, until one of their tablets broke down and stopped working. Then, they would fight over the other tablet and would whine and tattle to the closest adult there, usually me. So to stop this I brought my tablet just so that they could watch Disney+. It worked, until my tablet ran out of power. Then, whoever had that tablet would start to come up to me and say I'm bored. They'd bring a backpack full of colors, coloring books, toys, etc. so I know that they aren't bored, they just want a tablet. I would then have to list off things for them to do, so that I could go back to work. After a while, I've learned how my coworker has been parenting them and when the girls do something, then I just follow what my coworker tells them to do. For example, the girls have a towel and toothbrushes and toothpaste in the girls' bathroom. They are told that they have to wash their face, hands, and teeth after eating lunch. The girls would try to get away with this and go straight back to the tablets after eating, so I would have to remind them as to subtly tell them that they can't disobey their grandma. Now, I just have to raise an eyebrow and they listen. I really was fed up with all of this, especially when my coworker and I would usually be the only ones in the office, but I didn't really say anything because I know that my coworker can't really do anything to keep them home and they are kids who need to be loud and run around and all that. But, I finally realized how much my coworker was taking advantage of me when she said, "Wow. You're the cheapest babysitter. All I have to do is just pay for your lunch." She not only said this straight to my face, but also in front of the girls who now believe that I am their babysitter. Now if there are any problems, from an untied shoe to a fight over who can get what, the girls go to me first before their grandma. I am 14. I am a certified referee in my state. I know the rules as I've played by them my whole life along with taking the officiating classes. At our park district, no headers for ages below 11. But in U12, it is up to the referee's discretion. So if it's a small tap it's okay. That is exactly what happens. So the coach behind me screams at the top of his lungs there are no headers in U12 5 to 16 times. I ignore him. Though I could eject him. It was last game of the season and I didn't care. After a bit of yelling, he says fine, go duck yourself then which I turn and tell at him for saying in front of U11 kids. I wish I sent him away or ended the match. Sadly I didn't do much and my partner is a longtime referee, officiated my matches as I grew up, and he is deaf. So he has no idea what happened. The person who runs Park District in my area has been informed and is taking action. I got the opportunity to finally go full-time with my company after 9 months. I was working on the teller line and also working platform with members to apply for loans. Now I will be doing the same role, only in our outbound contact center as a video teller for our ITMs and no longer doing the loans. I'm feeling like I'm overthinking if I made the right choice or not. Overall I'm excited for some change but completely freaked out. If I had stayed with my branch, I would be waiting till death for an opening for a full-time opportunity. First time posting here. This happened today and thought it was finally worthy enough for TFR. Me equals me, group leader equals GL. I'm a car dealer who sells cars on Facebook, Gumtree, and AutoTrader. I received a message this morning on Facebook asking for details and more photos of a car I had up for £3,500. I answered all the questions and sent more photos. GL, I'll give you £2,500 cash for it right now. Me, sorry mate that's way too low, I'm in no rush to sell. GL, so how much do you want for it? Me, £3,500. GL, but what's the best price you can do? Me, if you come right now and take it I'll knock off £100, so £3,400. GL, that's too much it's a Cat N, previous accident car. Me, Doesn't matter, the car is in great condition, the previous damage was all bodywork and it's all been fixed now. GL, best I can offer is £3,000, I don't have any more money. Me, sorry but I've already got other customers wanting it for the price I want. GL, I don't have that money but send me your address, I want to come see it. Me, okay, sends address, let me know when you're close. About 20 minutes later a car pulls up and 4 guys jump out, we exchange a quick greeting and they start inspecting the car very aggressively. They asked for the key to turn the engine so I gave it to them. 2 of the guys then get in the car and attempt to drive off, luckily I guessed this would happen and stood close to the car, I grabbed the door, flung it open and jumped in the back before they could drive off. GL, we were just going for a test drive. Me, that's fine, I'll come with you. GL proceeds to test drive the car with me in the back, we return back to the original location and I quickly grab the keys from the ignition. GL, I want the car, what's your final price? Me, like I said, £3,400 is the best I can do for you. All 4 guys then proceed to tell me how they're broke and they have no money and they really need a car to do deliveries and earn some money. I just wanted them gone so agreed to drop another £100 but stood firm at that. Eventually they agreed to buy. GL, I'll give you a deposit now and come back and pay you the rest tomorrow. Me, that's fine, I don't need your deposit, I'll hold the car until tomorrow, when you come pay me in full I'll give you the car. GL, okay, where's the logbook, proof of ownership? Me, I'll hand that over to you tomorrow after you pay me. GL, I need to insure the car tonight. Me, you don't need the logbook to insure the car, just write down the number plate. GL, gets angry if I insure the car tonight and come back tomorrow and it's not here, I'm going to kill you. Me, no worries mate. See you tomorrow. Now let's see if they come back tomorrow. The start of this story is not today but a couple of months back, before the plague. However, the consequences haunt me and my intestines to this day. We had a very nice day out in February, so obviously, it was boozy picnic time for everyone. I went out with some friends to enjoy some cheese and wine, more realistically, pizza and beer. However, that did not stop there and by 3 a.m., I was downing an entire wine glass of tequila. Great life choices. For references, I'm actually a huge lightweight, I'm 53 kilograms. Okay, that absolutely killed me. I woke up at a mate's house with the worst nausea ever and from there on, the vomit parade started. I had to go back home so took the bus and looked so rough, the driver didn't even make me pay for a ticket. After almost throwing up in this man's bus, I made it home and, most importantly, I made it to the bathroom. Is this flip up just the fact that I got a hangover? If only. It just so happens that my flatmate has this very specific phobia, emetophobia, the phobia of vomit. You can see where this is going. To make sure I wouldn't trigger her with my heaving, gagging and general making out with a toilet bowl, I decided to play random music very loudly. This is where Disney comes into play. Because that is the playlist I randomly clicked on. Yes, I listened to Disney music while studying to keep me motivated. I don't think Elsa had planned for me to let go of my guts while she was singing these particular words. The flip up is when I got the pleasure to do some babysitting for some Disney fanatics and let's say, I didn't make it to Frozen 2 before my body remembered. I tried to distract it with all kind of sheep counting but turns out, I cannot be fooled and my body is definitely stronger than my mind. Cut to me being reunited with a toilet bowl, my true home. The child now thinks I'm sick and is bringing me fresh cups of water. I am dead inside on so many levels. DL, doctor, I Pavloved my body to throw up when I hear any Disney song. This makes for very awkward babysitting sessions. Not me, but witnessed my bar manager go through this. Customer, excuse me, I've been waiting ages and you served everyone except me. Bar manager, I'm sorry love, what do you want? C, I'm not your love. Stares. BM, I'm sorry, can I get you anything? C, I think it's awful how you ignore customers who have been waiting for so long. BM, I didn't realize you had been waiting so long, what can I get you? C, well, I think this is awful, 5 people must have come after me and been served. BM, I apologize again, I'll get you your drinks now, what would you like? C, for free? BM, sorry, I can't do them for free. C, why not? I've had to wait for so long, it's the least you can do. BM, I don't think it works like that, do you want any drinks or not? C, of course I do, why do you think I was waiting at the bar? But I don't think I should have to pay. BM, you can either buy a drink or stand away from the bar, I'm afraid, that's all we can offer. C, fine. But I don't want you to serve me. BM, why not? C, because you're incompetent, you don't know what you're doing. BM, well, everyone else here didn't serve you fast enough either, what difference does it make who pours your drinks? C, well, I've just said, anyone but you. Now get somebody else. BM, well, the other staff are busy mixing drinks, so you'll have to wait if you want them. C, are you kidding? Flip you. BM, flip me? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Commence ranting and shouting, followed by the bouncer escorting her out.